You think you hit waiver wire gold? It's time to cash in them chips and buy low on some amazing players on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane. You can find me on X, Twitter, whatever they call it, at Matthew_Ane. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're listening. Really helps out the show. And if you want a little bit more than what we offer on this 30-minute podcast, check us out on Subtext and become a member of the Diamond Club, where you'll get way more than what we offer on this 30-minute podcast. And so we got a great show for you today. And, I think it's kind of obvious. It's kind of on the side of the screen. It's kind of in the title, right? Buy low, sell high. And you know what? I think it's this time of the year. It's a perfect time to get in on some guys that I think are underperforming, and it's the right time to buy. And some guys you're going to call me crazy, or some guys are going to come at a true premium. But I think it's a perfect buying opportunity. And I got great explanations for everybody coming up in this episode. So we're going to buy low on some guys, and then we're going to sell high on these waiver wire guys that I think we've struck gold on, and then we can take advantage of their value now that's probably at this peak. And, this is the time. This is that market. We're in a full bull, and eventually it's going to dip and kind of level out. And that's where we want to be. We want to sell high on these guys. So that's all coming up right now. So let's move on. Let's start off with the buy low kind of, right? You got to buy the dip. And, I make a lot of stock and crypto references, but it's the truth, right? Even in fantasy baseball. And we're going to buy low on Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom is playing for those Texans, and not those Texans. God, I got football in the brain. Those Rangers are the Texas Rangers, and has not looked impressive through 14.2 innings. Honestly, he has 13 Ks, a 4.3 ERA, with a 6.21 FIP and a 1.295 WHIP. So right off the bat, like, it's not the greatest stat line, but I feel like there's way more in the tank. Honestly, you got to look at it like this too. I mean, Jacob has not really pitched in over a year, and this is his first true shot at baseball. And I feel like, okay, cool. Well, he did get a little bit last year, but this is his first real true shot at full-time baseball. And I feel like, okay, the rust is still coming off, even though he had a good spring and whatnot. There's still a little bit more left in the tank. Now, his last two starts are the ugly ones. It's not like it's just, he had one bad matchup. He had two. Excuse me. He got lit up against Tampa with a 6.35 ERA, and then same against Seattle, 6.75 ERA. But his first outing was super promising against Boston. So I don't understand what's going on in the tank. I mean, especially when you look under the hood, right? You start looking at like advanced stats and things like that, right? Getting great movement on his fastball, which, on his breaking balls. Fastball is super flat, and that's kind of where it's at right now, but I don't think that's going to stick around. And plus, he's got a 96.6 mile per average fastball velocity right now. So he's straight crushing the ball in terms of that. You're probably seeing the flames develop behind the ball. And he's just, doing his regular, Jacob deGrom things. Eventually, that's going to fix its things as well. Off-speed pitches need a little movement, but it's not as flat as the fastball. I think, again, it's all corrective. Expected batting average is 220. Expected ERA is a 383, so definitely better than 430. He's really suppressing the power with the average exit velocity sitting at 85.8 miles an hour. He's getting guys to chase at a great rip at 37.9% of the time and creating a whiff 31.9% of the time. So he's still doing the jobs. He's just not getting the strikeouts. He's walking guys a little too much. Obviously, he's allowing guys a barrel, which obviously is really, being produced on the ERA end. And one thing I do like is he's suppressing the hard contact as well, because he's only allowing guys to create hard contact about 32% of the time. Look, you go even a little bit deeper and we start looking at individual pitches, right? He's leaning on that fastball the most, and that has an expected batting average of 224, even though it's getting hit at a batting average of 3. So that's going to come down. The slider is perfect. Expected batting average of 214. The batting average is at 2. Changeup sitting at 2.5, but expected batting average is 213. Curveball got hit around a little bit, but that's irrelevant. It's thrown like 6% of the time. It's the four-seam fastball that I think once that kind of regulates and kind of finds the movement it needs in the spin rate, I think that's going to really change his demand. And I'd rather buy in low now. Now, what could I do to go out and get Jacob deGrom? Depending on when you drafted is depending on what the value was sitting at and how much the owner is willing to come down. Up until the last week of baseball, essentially, my guy was sitting at like the 13th pitcher overall, which, you remember Dom and I saying, no, don't buy in on that. That's too much. Also too comes with the possibility of getting hurt. And, we all know that too. So this is another argument. Hey, he's starting off slow. He's coming off TJ. The success isn't really translating from spring and from the previous season and with a small stint. So, what can we do here? How can we kind of get this deal done? And I think buying low on him, I think you're going to get him at a decent price. You're not going to have to give up a lot. And, it's actually going to translate on your end. Now, you might have another start or two where it's pretty bad, but I think things are going to come to a course correction and find the mean where he's going to return on this pick. So I'm going to try and get him out there. If you have some questions on, trade offers are throwing out there, should hit us up on, subtext preferably. So you'll definitely get a response on there, or check us out on, any of our Instagrams, or just comment here on YouTube and we'll see what we can do. If I can get you, I'll get you. I try to at least, but best place is subtext, but I think he's definitely obtainable right now. He's not a guy that is completely, nobody's like, oh no, he's untradeable. No, like he's a guy that is definitely looking to be moved and is probably staying on their team, and they're probably kicking themselves right now. You could be their bailout, air quotes. Okay, let's move on about Corbin Burns. I was going to say Corbin Carroll. Corbin Burns of the Baltimore Orioles. No, I'm sorry. I'm even late on that. My guy is actually playing for the Diamondbacks right now. Woo! Sorry, this is what happens when you let me go on a bachelor party for a whole week, right? So he's pitched about 15 innings as well. He has 14 strikeouts. He has an ERA of 5.28, which is absolutely atrocious. A 1.565 WHIP and a FIP of 5.88. So everything's kind of on pace with him. Now, again, I'm not buying into it. The dude has had success like this, like crazy, through this 15 innings, like straight up, like he's given up 3 home runs. That's part of the issue, right? That's why the ERA is so inflated. But he's not a guy that has never, like, that doesn't give up home runs and hard contact. The last 2 seasons he's given up 22. This 2022, when he had that mega season, he gave up 23 home runs. So I mean, quite honestly, are we surprised here? No, not at all. It's kind of more of a like, okay, dude, like this is your course, and if I'm the owner, I'm gonna ride it out. But the 3 starts he's had this season have not been great. He's gone 4 innings, 5 innings, and then 6 innings, and all just really lackluster, except the first one against the Yankees. 8 Ks, 4.15 ERA with a 1.62 WHIP. Everything kind of seems out of character for him. But I can assure you, things aren't as doom and gloom as it is. His baseball savant page, looking a little ugly as well. But at the same time, I'm just not buying it. The fastball velocity is still sitting at 96 miles an hour. He's still getting guys to chase 30% of the time, and he's really producing the ground balls, which is key. I think that there is a course correction coming. It's just a matter of when. It's such a small sample size, right? Like I said, 14 innings, and he's a guy that does go 6-7 deep. So the fact that this is over 3 starts is, again, really small for him. I think Corbin Burns is going to course correct as well. You're going to have to pay more of a premium for him than anybody than obviously deGrom. But I mean, quite honestly, I think he's SP1 in my opinion. And I think that trading for him probably can give up like an SP3 right now and upgrade to the Burns, because I think they're kicking themselves pretty heavy. So if you get a guy that's like, solid SP3, and then you can get a guy that's overperforming, like I would say like a Bubic, or who else I got on this thing, or a big name that's on this show, just a little preview into later, Kevin Gaussman, like what to do with him. Who I think he's having a bounce back season, but he's obviously not going to finish around the level of Corbin Burns. It's a perfect time to float an offer out there and see if you can get him. I'd totally do Gaussman for Burns all day long. And I think mix him with another guy, and you should be able to get Corbin Burns, and you just upgraded your whole rotation. So going out there and get Corbin Burns is seriously a serious level up for your team. So go out and do that. I promise you won't regret that. Coming up next, what to do? Like, do you need a closer? Because I got a guy you're going to want to go and trade for, in Edwin Diaz. Do you think that even, Gunnar Henderson is even obtainable? I think so. And that's all coming up next. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upworks, you can find specialized freelancers in market development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upworks gives your business flexibility by connecting you with top freelancers, talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, and web development and marketing. Whether you need an extra hand for a project or a long-term partner, Upworks makes hiring simple and affordable. Finding the right talent, if you're in need of with marketing campaigns. Upwork can help you, get a freelance expert to help you deliver incredible results, fast and easy hiring. Honestly, posting a job for free is simple. Within days, you'll have multiple qualified candidates to choose from and cost-effective growth, right? That's all that matters, is what is my bottom line going to be and how can I keep paying these players without, affecting my bottom line, right? Instead of hiring a full-time player, full-time employee, Upwork helps you find affordable top-tier freelancers to help scale your business effectively. So visit upworks.com right now to post your job for free. That's upwork.com, upworks.com, to connect with a top talent and grow your business today. And quite honestly, look, I'm in on those decisions with my business. And it's tough to get contractors and things like this. Upwork smooths that out. So so take advantage today. Hey, listen, we're in the thick of it right now, and it's midseason. How am I going to get all the changes and things like that in the league? And how am I going to get that information? Well, you're going to join the Diamond Club and become a member of the Subtext. It's that simple, right? You need to be able to get ahead of your competition and find out when your prospects are getting called up. You need a little insight, you need a little guy on your shoulder to be like, hey, is this trade actually good? Oh, yeah, you got to X Domino. Yeah, that of course you're going to join the Subtext, right? Or do you need to just figure out, okay, who do I need to prioritize off this episode? Yeah, you're going to want to be on the Subtext. Bottom line, guys. So come in and check us out, and I promise we won't do you wrong. So check us out. Links in the description below. But let's move on. Let's talk about more baseball, and I'm super excited for that. Let's talk about Edwin Diaz of the New York Mets. Dude, look, I am full force for this kid. I think that I'm ready to trade for him everywhere because everybody is frustrated. They drafted him obviously as their RP1, and he's putting out a 6.75 ERA, blowing up your week at times. And this is through 6 innings too. This isn't a small sample size for a closer. This is enough to be like, we might have a problem here. We don't have a problem. You know, he just had 2 bad starts, in all honesty. Everything else has been pretty gold. But what I do like is the fact that, he's posted already 3 saves. They're still giving him the high leverage situations, even though he's had 2 blown saves. I think things are obviously going to be better. We saw ups and downs and peaks and valleys last year with him, with the ERA and things like that. One thing we can count on is the over the K per inning. And that's huge, right? Like when I get a closer, my favorite closer prototype is okay, a guy that's going to have a bunch of save opportunities, but also is going to have more than a K per inning and is going to suppress the ERA. If the ERA is a little bit higher, sure, but the K per inning is the key part, and that's where it's at with Edwin Diaz. He's even on it now, right? 6 innings, 9 Ks. Previous year, 53 innings, 84 Ks. These are key things you want. On top of that, even though the ERA has been astronomically high, again, even though I'd say this is enough qualified to kind of quantify what's going on, this isn't the season story. This is just, hey, he's had a couple 2 bad outings, whatever. It's going to inflate the ERA, but things are going to come down. So let's see if we can go out and acquire him. You might have to pay small premium, but you throw in your closer that you're not really thrilled about, like your RP2. You kind of mix in one of these guys later, and you can probably get this deal done, and then you have upgraded your closer. Again, hit us up on the Subtext. I will help you work through it. It's easier when I have your team and the trading partners team in front of us, and we can kind of come up with a trade together. But, ultimately, I'm trying to go out there and I'm trying to leverage 2 guys for 1. Those are my favorite kind of deals. I'll even do 3 for 1. What's the point of having depth? Depth. I got a little excited on that. Depth of multiple players on my bench. But if I can turn 3 players into 1 that's going to outproduce the 3, why wouldn't I do that? And that's pretty much my point here. Go out and offer multiple players for Edwin Diaz. That's how you get the job done in any of these buy low situations, right? But you don't want to give up high players. You want to give up 3 mediocre players, or 2 waiver wire guys and 1 decent player to go out and get somebody. It's a matter of how we manipulate the game and make it the most appealing offer, and make them feel like, oh my God, I'm getting so much, but yet they're getting so little. And that's how you win trades. And that's what we do here over on Locked On. We win trades. So let's keep it moving. This one, it's a bit more of a stretch, but I also feel like he's for once in our life going to be obtainable. And that's Gunnar Henderson of the Baltimore Orioles. Look, you might look at me crazy, but let's be honest here. He's underperforming through, 42 at-bats. He's coming off an injury that laid him up a little bit. This is the key, is the narrative right now and the reflection on how they're seeing their player. And that is how you go out and you go and get these, you get a guy like Gunnar Henderson. You find them in a bad spot. You find them where they're underperforming at a significant level. Somebody that's coming off an injury. Yes, it carries weight as well, carries risk as well. But you know what? This is what we do. This is how you take big swings. Now, you're going to have to give up a premium, but not a first round talent. Maybe not even a second round talent, but how bad he's doing right now. Now, this last week is a little bit better, right? He has 4 runs, a bomb, and a rib, batting probably about 300 on the dime. Maybe that's whiffing a little bit. Maybe this last minute chance before he really kicks it in the gear. So again, if you can come up with a nice trade where you're acquiring, and even if you're giving up a third round player and a fourth round player or a third round player and like a very good waiver wire player that probably has a little bit more long term, like a Christian Campbell, for instance, I kind of might do that because one, Gunnar Henderson's upside is way more proven, and two, now you've added 2 first round picks to your team, and that's kind of the key, right? And that doesn't matter in any platform, whether you're playing a points, roto, head to head points, it doesn't matter. Having 2 first round players on your team is definitely better than just having one, and that's what Gunnar Henderson will be. Obviously carries risk because of the injury that he started off with the season, but it's anybody, right? Anybody can go down. There's just guys we know that will go down frequently. And Gunnar Henderson really hasn't had the injury track record. So I'm going to lean on the side of, this is going to be a full blown, locked and loaded kind of ad right now. Let's go out and try and do it. Again, consult us on subtext. I got you, right? Let's move on. Let's talk about Ozzie Albies, we call it Atlanta Braves. And he's another guy. I think he's starting to work his way back, which is kind of on the exciting part as the Ozzie Albies fan here. But also, too, I just think that there's still a little bit of a buy window. And, so far on the season, my guy has, 71 at bats, 9 runs, 3 doubles, 4 bombs, 10 ribs, 2 stolen bases. He's batting .339. And, he has 7 walks to 11 strikeouts, which is significantly better than how he started off the season. Now, Ozzie Albies over the last week has been significantly better, even over the last 2. 7 runs, 3 bombs, 6 ribs, 2 stolen bases, batting .273. It's more coming in this week than last. So this may be the week that, is that, hey, you probably caught on the tail end, but I'm still going to shoot my shot. I might, but you're not going to be as successful, but he's worth mentioning. This is not the first time also he's been on the show. So again, I think the hot streak is literally right there. And this is probably the worst time to buy him all season, but I still don't want to take my shot and, make them feel like they're getting a deal. Oh, this is the best I'm going to be able to get at this moment. You still might get him at a discount. But again, this last buying window, he does it again. Toast, he's going to be untouchable. Number one, second baseman on any platform but Yahoo, where Mookie Betts is available for second base. Like it just at that point, you just upgraded your team entirely. But again, you're going to pay more of a premium for Ozzie Albies, no matter what at this point. So, try, but don't give up too much either. Well, it is what it is. You can consult us again, but if you're feeling like you're giving up a lot, you probably are. Excuse me. All right, let's move on. Let's switch over to sell highs, right? Like now it's the time to sell high. So our first guy here is Bryce Turang. And, you might be looking crazy, playing for those Brewers and whatnot at 25 years old. Oh, my God, you don't know what he's going to do. No, I do know what he's going to do. I know who he is as a player. Okay, he's not going to take a step forward in power. He's not going to be this prolific, 5-category guy. Like this just ain't happening. Batting average is what it is, right? He's hitting .312. Is that actually sustainable for him? Not really sold on that. Obviously, it's very hard to hit .312, but like even in the minors, like you've seen the .296, .286, and a .258. So like maybe we see an average, like a mean of like .275, which is really good. It's really good, especially for a guy that has the potential to steal like 50 stolen bases. Like that part's great. But his career high in the minors through 500 at bats, I might add, is 13 home runs. Okay, cool. Great. Bet. You've never done it in the bigs. And this is, in the last 2 seasons that he's been in the bigs. I don't see a power step forward. He's never going to be a guy of ribbies. So there, boom, there's your five out right there. And then runs. He's on a team where like, there's an opportunity to get runs, but not enough to where it's going to be elite, right? If he gets 90 runs, 50 to 60 ribbies, say 10 home runs and 50 stolen bases, batting .275, that's a decent player. But how much are they doing for you if you have other guys on your team that can steal bases? You can go and trade a guy like this that's going that has the pace right now to outdo that and have more upside, but it also still sounds like an attractive player, just not enough for me to want to go out and not have one of the other guys I named on this show. Like, if you could turn Bryce Turang and a player, right, which I think he has the most value out of everybody here that I'm going to mention, and a decent player, like a 4th round pick for Gunnar Henderson or a 3rd round pick for Gunnar Henderson, that Gunnar Henderson is a lot more attractive than Bryce Turang, bottom line. It's a matter of how you combine and package a player together. And I think Bryce Turang is that guy that puts the trade over the edge and may even be one of the key focal points in it because they might need a second baseman. So Bryce Turang is somebody you definitely want to try and trade high. I think he actually will help you obtain like some of the guys at the top of this show. So, do not fear on trading him. You're not going to miss out on a guy at the end of the season. Coming up next, I got guys like, Jung Ho Lee, Kevin Gaussman, and others that I think are going to be able to fetch you a fair price coming up next. Okay. Get the supplies you need from the site that makes made for skilled traders, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with your order? Supply House offers expert support and industry leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. For trade pros looking for an extra edge, the free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now is your turn. Join Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and get started with ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Okay, we're back. We're in the latter half of the show, and I'm pretty hyped. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Jung Ho Lee of the San Francisco Giants, if this will ever load. Dude, like 26 years old, doing his thing here. He's intriguing. He's actually having a nice start to the season. He's one of the guys I'm kind of on the fence of, do I actually trade him? And the thing is, I will if I can get the right player, because I actually think he might have more of a long-term kind of plan. I don't think that this is inflated as much, but the pace is a little ridiculous too. So 68 at bats, 19 runs, 10 doubles, which is monstrous, especially in points leagues, a triple, 3 bombs, 14 ribs, 3 stolen bases, 7 walks to 12 strikeouts. Again, great parallels right there. And then a 338 batting average, an OBP of 395, a slug of 647, an OPS of 1042. Like, he's looking real stout out there. Even the underlying stats are pretty great. The XWOB is sitting at 398. The X batting average is 344, even better. The X slug is sitting at 521. The average exit velocity is still at 90 miles an hour. I'm really liking that. He's barreling about 8% of the time, creating hard contact 40, which I'd like to see a little bit better. And he's squaring up. He's not really striking out. And it's just good. He just needs to walk a little bit more. And we can live with this. With the way he's doing right now, he's doing good. And he's in the 71st percentile in terms of speed. So he's looking okay. Like, I really do like this. Now, again, there's a lot of unknowns still circling the drain, right? Like, we're talking second year in the bigs, a grand total of like 225 at bats. And, that is where the key kind of comes in, right? Like, how confident are you to have him do this for a full season? And I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns. So here's the deal, right? If you're not a believer, but you have him on your team and you're like torn, he's guy you want to trade. And honestly, I'd still trade him if I can get the right player to kind of replace him. So Jung Ho Lee, I think if you want to sell, you can sell him actually for high. He actually has some kind of like respect and name. And 2, you can probably get a decent player in return, especially with the performance right now and the pace. So everything seems very, very legit with him. But this can all the floor can fall right out from under him tomorrow. So it's time to kind of like get like either poop or get off the pot. You know what I'm saying? It's really just that simple, right? So, like, for me, I'm trading if I can trade up and get a player. Otherwise, I'm going to hang on. Like, I don't care. I'm not just going to give the kid away because he's performing, but I am going to try and see if I can move him for a better asset, essentially. So, move Jung Ho Lee if you can. And I think he's also a guy that can move the needle on a trade, like, and be a focal point, just as Turang is, but if not more. So let's move on. Let's talk about Gausman. I mentioned him a little bit at the top. And, I definitely feel that, like, okay, the performance is spectacular. It's not like we haven't seen it before. So him and those Blue Jays, he's just been successful with them for quite some time now. This is what, year 1, 2, 3, 4 with them, and he's just been solid and lights out every year. But last year, and even last year, I don't feel like it was such a bad year. We were drafting him as an SB1, and he finished with 3.83 ERA. It's a bad year. This is a bounce back year. He's still 34. I still like the older pitchers, and he's killing it right now. 25 innings pitched, 20 strikeouts, a 2.49 ERA, a WHIP of 0.71, like all great numbers. Yes, the FIP is sitting at 384, but still, it's only through, again, 25 innings, but still looking fantastic and stout through it. I really am digging what he's doing. Even look under the hood and things feel legit, which they might be. They might be. All his pitches are getting, great movement. The only thing that's like a little bit on the lower side is his breaking balls, but it is what it is. xERA still sitting at 333, which is still like almost a whole run higher, but still I'll take a 333. Expected batting average is 224. Fastball velocity still sitting at 94.2 miles an hour. He is giving up hard contact. That's at 91.4. That is pretty high, but I think that'll get suppressed a little bit more. He's getting guys to chase it pretty often at 35.2% of the time, but not really creating the whiffs in case. But hey, it is what it is. You look at his previous seasons, and he's always been well over a K per inning. And I think that'll return, especially with the amount that he's getting guys to chase. The whiff will come, and so will the strikeouts. It's just, hey, he still is coming. Now, it just might take him a little bit more, but I'm very impressed with the whip. I'm very impressed. Like, I think that I didn't expect this kind of performance with the command. He's looking very stout right now. So, like, you could hold on. You got a value and a half, and you could get a guy that can finish as a top 24, SP. But if you can level up, that is the key part, right? Like, he is probably your SP5 right now, or SP4. And if you can level up and go out there, and I don't know if I'm doing it, I would do it for, I don't know if I did do it for deGrom, but I would do it for Burns, like I said. And Burns would be the guy that I definitely want to try and acquire. You might be able to get him, put him in there for Burns, another player, obviously, but then, excuse me, and then I'd be able to get a small piece back as well. So, it's worth experimenting and see if you can move Gausman for a good price and actually win that deal. Because I think if you were able to go out there, trade Gausman for Burns, and obviously you have to give up other pieces, you win that trade. Bottom line, how they finish is going to be, Burns where he normally is, and Gausman maybe top 24 at best. Whereas, Burns has SP1, and you now have two SP1s on your team. Hopefully, at that point, you drafted correctly. So Gausman is a guy I'm definitely tempted to move. Otherwise, you hold on to him. I mean, you don't give him away for free either. Like, he is a solid asset, and I think that this year is kind of legit. He's just not SP1 material, and that's the difference. I think you can trade him right now for an underperforming SP1 such as Burns. Let's move on. Let's talk about Chris Bassett, who actually really did have a great outing. The other day, I think it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull it up real quick. Ooh, I don't like that. Go here, please. Okay. So apparently my computer wants to not play nice, but it's fine. We'll just do this then. So Chris Bassett, who's 79% owned now, and I think is definitely a guy that we can now say, hey, we're going to trade and things like that. So Chris Bassett has come out, especially in his last start against the Atlanta Braves, 5 innings, 10 Ks, got the win, has no earned runs, a 1 whip, like looking really, really nice in those regards. I'm actually digging it. I think that, even though we've seen him be successful, he's having a fantastic start to the season. I still think he needs to be moved. I don't think this is long-term. I don't think this is something that we're going to see. Last year, he finished with a 4.16 ERA. Are we seriously going to think that a guy that we haven't seen pitch like up to the quality he has in the past all season long? No, not at all. Quite honestly. Sorry if there was like any kind of like disruption in my audio feed or video feed. I am in a hotel. I'm obviously not home. You can tell by where I am. But my wife has not kicked me out after going to the bachelor party. Not yet, at least. But ultimately, just please bear with me with this. But Chris Bassett, I mean, hasn't been like a really good, didn't have a good season in 24, 23, 22, 21. He had a 3.6 ERA, a 3.42 ERA, a 3.15, and then a 2.19 in 2020. But so the performance, I feel like, will carry at least some kind of weight when I'm trying to move him. And somebody may think, okay, maybe he's bouncing back a little bit and I can go and get a deal. And buying in, he's not going to get you Corbin Burns or any of the guys I named earlier, but he is going to be a piece that we got to free up the waiver wire or later in rounds if you're in a really deep league, that you're going to be able to move up and grab the much better player that you're going to have to package for more than one player and get them. And I think Bassett is a guy that gets the deal done at the end, not the focal point, not the guy that's like a big difference maker in the trade. It's like, wow, you actually offered him, or wow, that was a nice add-on. Like, no, it's more like, ooh, okay, you know what? You're throwing that in the deal. Okay, you sweeten the pot on man. Get game bet done. I get the guy. So that's kind of where we are with Chris Bassett. He's not like a focal point. He does this for another month and a half, and we're talking about him in a different light. Where okay, cool, we can trade him for much higher, but he's not a guy I'm counting on. Come July. Like that's when I think he just dies out. But we'll see. I could be very wrong all at the same time. We'll see. But right now, I'm moving him wholeheartedly. I want to get this last guy in. That's Nick Lodolo, the Reds. He's having a nice start. How much am I buying in of it? Not so much. I am a fan of the kid. I think the talent is actually there. It's just when he pitches for the Reds, and he's not Hunter Green. But 23 innings, 14 strikeouts, 2.31 ERA with a .81 WHIP. Like looking good out there, looking stout. The only thing I don't like is he's already given up 3 home runs, and again, he pitches in Great American Hitter Park, and he starts giving up multiple home runs, or has the same home run rate as Corbin Burns, and they're not. And it's going to be bad, and it could be worse because he hits in Great American Hitter Park. So I'm trying to move on and sell high on this opportunity here that he's actually pitching well, nice and early. So I'm trying to do it again. He's a slip in at the end that sweetens the deal. He's not a focal point. But guys, thank you for listening and hanging out with me today. And if there was any issues in the audio, I apologize. Again, we'll be back in normal next week. Monday, when there's no episode. Obviously, there was a missed episode this week. There'll be one on Monday. I'm going to pre-record it over the weekend before the holiday. But I want everybody to have a great holiday and have a great weekend. And start. I mean, not a great weekend at this point. A great week. We'll see you on Tuesday, and we'll be rocking and rolling all week. Have a great day, guys. Peace out.